There you go. That's my TFT Clips approved rundown of what's going on. Okay, so for those who saw yesterday, it was leaked / announced that with the release of Runeterra Reforged, third-party sites will not be allowed to share any data around the performance of individual legends, and within a month, third-party sites will no longer be allowed to expose the performance data for specific augments. Obviously, this has been a pretty controversial take. You know, a lot of people are like, why are you taking away information? Why are you, restricting things? How is a new player going to be able to get into the game if there's no way to learn? And I want to separate that a bit because it's not about removing ways to learn. And in fact, we think the stats have actually done a harm to being able to learn. For example, if you remember back in the days before augments, before we had these crazy stat sites, what you would see is like person A, high-level player A, they would make a tier list of like, hey, these are the good comps, these are the bad comps, or whatever. Same thing with augments, right? Like they might do a tier list of like, these are the S tier augments, these are the A tier augments, etc. And what was interesting is that other people would have different opinions because it was subjective. It was subjective. A really good example of this going on right now is if you look at all the China high elo lobbies, the legend they are picking is Twisted Fate. They all love Twisted Fate. They're using Twisted Fate to try to get the Pandora stuff. But if you look at all the NA challenger lobbies, they're all picking Vlad. They're picking Vlad because they like that late game power and they believe the late game power and the augments synergize really well. So who's right? Who's right? And what's nice is it's healthy to have a good discourse. It's healthy to have a talk about like which one's right, which one's not, talking about the pros and cons. That's a healthy discourse. The problem is when subjective becomes objective and a stat website says Vlad 4.3 and TF 4.42. All of a sudden, all that conversation is gone. There's no more conversation. And even if the stats can be interpreted incorrectly, the point is most of our players will look at that number and go, objective truth. Objective truth, there it is. And that's not healthy, right? We want people having interesting discussions and learning from each other's and talking about the pros and cons and exploring things. And if there's just a site that says, no, 4.6, bad, that is what it is. Now, you could argue, well, just because it's 4.6 doesn't mean it's bad. And you'd be right? I mean, I've been arguing that for ages, and people have mocked me for it. But that's not what most of our players do. Most of our players will look at that and assume it's bad and not take the extra step. I think this is a good opportunity for a lot of people to, someone like Robin who makes those guides, right? Those guides are going to be handy. And we're not banning guides. We're not banning anything like that. If players want to make an augment tier list that everyone's going to copy off of, great. They still will, right? People are still going to... This isn't about forcing everyone to not look at sites. That's not what this is about. It's about creating a more subjective reality so people can talk about it and people can have conversation. That's the big thing here, and I think it's going to be healthy in the long term. I really do. I think it's going to be a good thing. Now, if it's not, we can undo it. We can. We really can. We're not like so stubborn that we refuse to undo it, but it's just going to be a healthier thing. Someone asked, how do you plan to prevent people from using their own web scrapers to calculate augmented win rates? As far as I know, they would need access to the API and they won't have it, and otherwise it'll be pretty inaccurate. So I have to trust the tech on that there are ways of blocking that, because I believe there are, and that's what they've told us. And to some of you who, I think another conversation that happens is like, well, you're hiding information, you're hiding truth. It's never been good to hide truth. And that would be true if our goal was truth, but our goal isn't truth. Our goal is fun. Our goal is to create a fun game and a good community. And someone might say, well, does that mean you're prioritizing fun over competitiveness? And the answer is yes. This is bar none one of the worst and most egoist decisions you've made. So that transitions into the second half of this conversation, which is, look, I know I'm the public figure of the TFT team. I know I am. But reading over 60 comments telling me how much of an ego and how much of an asshole I am is really demotivating, admittedly, because I didn't make this decision. I hope you understand that. Like, I support this decision, but I don't make every decision in the world. You know that, right? Like, I'm just one person on a team of 150. And it's fine, but, like, take that hate that you have in your heart and, like, go do something else, man. Seriously, I don't mind being the human shield for my team because I love my team and I want them to be happy. But, like, for you to call me an arrogant asshole who's too cocky to undo his own... It wasn't even my decision. Again, I support it and I back it up and I think it's the right decision. But, like, sorry. And, again, I don't know why you want to hate me for that. Like, I get it, but... I think this will be good long term. But again, like everything we've ever done, right? We have a hypothesis. We'll be honest and transparent about it. And if we're wrong, hypothetically, you know, it's just like it ruins the game, it creates weird social circles, we'll undo it. We will. Just like we've done in the past, we've proven many times at this point that we're not so cocky and arrogant we won't undo things. You know, I've gotten a lot of crap for whether it was the Void patch all the way back in set 1, to Lee Sin's hero augment, to whatever. I've definitely taken my share of, like, licks of I've been wrong, but usually when I'm wrong, I admit I'm wrong. It might take a bit, but I do. I come around and I admit I'm wrong because I'm human. I don't know, that's the quick high-level rundown. But again, to me, the big thing is subjective versus objective. It is healthy when people are debating what is the best trait, what it's not. It is unhealthy when people go, stat says bad, therefore bad. That's the big thing I support. Yeah. So there you go. That's my TFT Clips approved rundown of what's going on. And again, let us know once it happens. Let us know how it feels. I think wait to see what happens. But yeah. Well, we still have access to high-performing team comps. Yes, it's literally just augments we're trying for now. So unit stats, comp stats will all still be okay. Like I said, people can still make tier lists. You know, if War Week happens again, trust me, it'll be obvious. This isn't about trying to not balance the game either. This isn't about hiding balance. We're still going to be balancing the game. Nothing's going to change. It's just we want players to talk about it more. Why not? Why just augments? Why not everything? Because we have to take it slow and steady. If this ends up being a massive success, maybe we will do everything. But okay.